And with the 2 minute warning, my great pleasure to be speaking to the director and co-writer of Foe, Garth Davis. Garth, welcome to Movie Metropolis.
Thank you, Pete. How are you?
Very good. And of course, I have very fond memories of your previous films, including Lion, of course, and Mary Magdalene as excellent examples. What was it that attracted you to Iain Reid's novel?
Uh, Look, at first, I'm a bit of a lover of Hitchcock and old noir cinema. And I guess when I started reading the book, I was struck by that and really kind of taken by it. But with The Stranger Arriving in the Night, I was just falling in love with it. But then what happened is it took a very sharp turn and started to kind of focus on this relationship, this marriage. And I guess I fell in love with that journey, and obviously the central character Hen and what she was fighting for in this marriage, I think really connected with me in my real life. So I guess I was attracted to it from a filmmaking point of view, but then it actually meant something to me, and I was very moved by the story that I discovered in it.
Okay, very interesting. How did you go about, or what were the challenges in working with Ian in adapting the book to a screenplay?
I guess the book was primarily entirely from Junior's point of view, like his inner mind, which was a great insight into the character. But for the film, we all felt that it was really Hen's story, and I guess shifting to that point of view was the seismic shift or the seismic departure from the story. But actually, the collaboration between Ian and I was just exciting and fun, and we have very different qualities, but this shared passion for what we wanted to tell. And I guess every now and then you find a creative partner, and what you do together in a combined way is more magical than you could do alone. And a friendship developed, and this really robust creative relationship started, and it was enjoyable, and it still is enjoyable even while we're on the road.
Okay, well, tell me about the title, Foe. What does it refer to?
Well, I guess it's raising a question for audiences going into the movie, engaging the audience with who is the foe, I guess is probably the question that the audience is asking. And you can have whatever foe you like. It's really up to the audience. But for Ian and I guess the foe in the story for us is Junior, the real husband, and I guess what he represents, which is stasis and the inability to change, and I guess the ramifications of taking things that are precious to us for granted. We lose them, and that's true of his relationship, and I guess the greater metaphor with the planet. It's all that interconnectedness is there. So I guess the foe in the story is stasis.
Jesus. Okay, very interesting to hear that.
That's
Now,
from our point of view, but you can have your own point of view.
that's fair enough. No, like any artistic endeavor or film, whatever, we will have different points of view. Um, so, Garth, I'm intrigued. You shot the film in Victoria at the Docklands Studios, in Winton, and so on. What made you decide to do that?
It wasn't the plan originally. I mean, when Ian and I were working on the script, I went to his hometown in Kingston, Ontario, and we were visiting farms and farmers. I wanted to really see what inspired the novel. And as we're on that journey, we stumbled across this extraordinary farmhouse. It was like this Andrew Wyeth, this beautiful thing just sitting in the field. And I got the chills. And I said to Ian, "Is that what's in your mind?" He said, "Absolutely." So I guess I thought for a minute we might be filming here, because we found this incredible house, but the world around it wasn't the world. It was just too idyllic. It wasn't right. And Saoirse Ronan's availabilities was meant that the Northern Hemisphere was going to be snowing. So I had a lot of problems, like where to set this movie. When I came back to Australia, I was on a family camping trip, which took me to the Winton wetlands, and serendipitously I saw this environment that just matched the film, and so it was like a happy accident. So that's where it all started, and also the Earth is such a character in this film, and I really wanted audience to feel the Earth, and the Australian land is so spiritually felt to me. You know, I really feel it in an emotional way. So suddenly it just made sense that Australia could bring to this story a very believable near future in the Midwest, you know, that's kind of under distress.
Okay, okay. Well done on that. And of course, the film is set in 2065 and this dystopian future. And but you don't use massive amounts of special effects or anything like that. It's much more of that personal story, as you've already mentioned. So I gather you wanted to focus very much on that as the main element of the film.
Yeah, the relationship. This is a relationship film, and I guess the sci-fi are just kind of metaphors to reflect up against the relationship. They're kind of devices to help us explore that relationship in the most exciting way. I guess the other thing for me is there is something about the dying planet in the story that it does make you reflect on your life. You know, sometimes people don't reflect on their lives until they're nearing the end, or they've got a cancer diagnosis, or something profound happens in their life, or COVID. Suddenly we need something to wake us up to reflect on how we're living. And I guess what I like about this is that the near future aspect of this feels imminent. It feels believable. It feels very much in line with actually what's happening in our own lives right now. And I guess I'm just asking audiences with this film just take a moment to reflect on their own lives and the relationships they're living, and just whether we're in alignment with that. And so I think the sci-fi elements had to be handled carefully to make it feel relevant and imminent to audiences, not some sort of far-reaching thing. I really wanted to challenge viewers with this film.
Okay. Oh, certainly do that. It is really interesting in that respect. So tell me about casting Saoirse Ronan, Paul Mescal, and Aaron Pierre, who plays a key part in the film, because they are so good, especially Paul and Saoirse.
Yeah, well, as we were writing the script, I mean, I could feel Hen in the room. You know, I could feel her personality, and one of the qualities that I was feeling was this character that did have that gorgeous curiosity and that spiritual buoyancy, you know, that kind of light and kind of shining through. And I thought that was really important to feel something precious in the belly of this kind of challenging world. So when I was thinking of actresses, I mean, Saoirse Ronan, you know, came right to the top of that list because she's very special. You know, it doesn't matter what character she's playing, there's a lovely light that kind of shines through, this personality that shines through. And there's not many people that have that. So luckily for us, she really enjoyed the material and came on board. And then I had to go and find her a husband. And I was very protective. And I work very intuitively. And I do think about matching that. And because what's beautiful about this story is that this couple are soulmates. You know, they are actually a great couple. It's just what happens to relationships over time. So I did have to go and find her a soulmate, I guess. And that led me to Paul Mescal. Serendipitously, he had read the material, was crazy about it and very passionate. And I mean, I just fell in love with the guy for lots of reasons. And then the shared Irish heritage, I thought, was a bonus because it just brought that instant believability to this couple on screen. I mean, this couple in our story grew up in the Midwest. That's all they've ever known. And they got married straight out of high school, like a young marriage. So all of that just felt so excitingly real. Terence was probably the trickiest character to cast. You know, the antagonist, you can always trip with tropes and obvious choices. But I mean, I'm always fascinated by scientists and all these people that are trying to put us on Mars. Who come up to what's driving these people? Like what's emotionally behind these people? And I guess Aaron Pierre had similar questions, but he had some real answers as well. And I thought his choices were very, very clever. And we were definitely trying to find a character that really believed in what they were doing would better humanity and find all those complex nuances. So Aaron was a great discovery for us.
Okay. They all work extremely well, but the challenging aspects of the Paul and Saoirse's characters really come to the fore later in the film, especially with the introduction of the alternative character of Paul and of this artificial creation. So I suppose you had to work very carefully with them in terms of getting that dramatic aspect right.
Yeah, it was what was challenging, but also what was most exciting about the film was that there were so many layers. So like there's the film that you think you're watching or the story you think you're watching, and then there's a story that's really happening. And I guess that's what was so exciting. Like, how do we, I mean, the actors always have to work from the truth of the story. That's absolutely critical. There was no manipulation at any point in the performances. It was always coming from the truth. But we had to make sure that all the choices we made left nothing unturned. And so there's a lot of diligent and hard work in the scripting, and then obviously in the performances, and deciding when to turn the Venetian blinds, onto the true story, and all those secret rivers that are running. That's all the stuff that is delicious in cinema, all that nuance, and the audience viscerally engaged in this relationship and trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, it's just something that really entices me. But yeah, it was hard. And I guess, I mean, Junior, played by Paul had to he played multiple characters. And even when he's playing one character, he had to play it when he was more spiritually open, and then a version when he is more closed-minded and also being aware of those different versions of himself as well. It's a real rabbit hole, and there's some gorgeous moments, like in the death scene. I know, spoiler alert, seeing the two juniors looking at each other. Yes, he's witnessing this thing happening in front of him, this act, but also he's also identifying, he can see those parts of himself. He knows he's killed himself. He knows that he's denied Hen of those parts of himself. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we went very deep in the performances. So, and the choices are very profound and interesting, I think.
They are excellent performances, and yes, you must, as you're saying, you work very hard with the actors, and I suppose you also had limited time with both of them, Saoirse and Paul, because I imagine their schedules are pretty busy.
Yeah, look, I always try to get 2 weeks rehearsal, which is healthy, and I pretty much got that on this. It's just a requirement. You just have to look. The actors want it. You just got to make sure that their representatives get it. That's what I've felt. And the actors just lap it up. They love it. They really want that time. So look, I just made that request very early on, and yeah, and we went to for about a week. We rehearsed down at Apollo Bay, which is down the Otways. I wanted to take the actors to something that was very living, like full of nature, so we could reconnect with that, because that's a thing that's been lost in the story. And that had a profound effect on their performances, I think, and just setting the tone for the themes of the story.
Okay. I'm just intrigued when they saw the final version of the film, or maybe they saw rushes along the way. How were they responding? Because I can imagine there was a fair bit of interaction between you and them.
I don't think they saw any rushes, but we definitely showed them a cut of the movie. I think when it was locked at the cinema for them, we did a screening, and yeah, the reaction was, they were very, very happy. The reaction was enormous, and I think they did take either family or close friends in, and they were all completely affected by it. Yeah, they're super proud of the film. So there's a lot of love in the room, and when this strike finishes, you'll be hearing their passion very soon, which is going to be very helpful for us. Can't wait. Get them out.
Yes, I was thinking that because of the actor strike still going on, and it doesn't look good at the moment, that of course they can't really promote the film.
It's very sad because they're so passionate about it, and I did have dinner with them in London, and they're just so frustrated. Like, Paul's a very passionate person. He's like a bull out of the gate. He just wants to get out there and punch the bag. He's so keen for this film and proud of what it is. So it's sad, and it's sad for them because this is their beautiful work that they put all this effort into. And look, at the end of the day, it's on the screen and it's going to exist forever. So I just trust that that's going to be fine. But it'll be lovely for them to celebrate it at least.
Absolutely. And releasing in Australia October 19th and elsewhere. The look of the film is quite incredible too. That sort of very beigey, browny, sort of very carefully designed sort of colouring of the film. That obviously took a bit of work.
Yes, yes. I think colour is really interesting in this film. Almost like the future elements are very brightly coloured and kind of bold choices. And then I guess the heart of the story, which is Junior's family farm where it's set, for me is like a window into the natural world. So yeah, it's kind of leaning into like natural colours, but all of them distressed and kind of breaking down, kind of reflective of the relationship and what he's holding on to. So that was all definitely predetermined, and just trying to make it feel as human as possible. I mean, a lot of these thrillers are kind of overly lit and overly dramatic, and I just wanted it to feel very human and relatable and textural, I guess. But then when we leave that kind of human natural world, we kind of hit these like a stark contrast, I guess, which was exciting to us.
Yes, yes. Oh, look, well done on that. And I'm also intrigued, Garth, in the way that you choose what films that you make. I mean, I've mentioned Lion and Mary Magdalene. You've directed Love My Way and Top of the Lake episodes and so on. How do you make those decisions?
It's a good question. I'm still trying to figure out if I can actually define what that is. I guess, look, at the end of the day, all my stories definitely deal with love and the human condition and relationships. So I guess that's something that I think is central to being a human being, and something that we all, that affects every single person on the planet. So I guess that's something I'm really intrigued and drawn by, and continue that inquiry. I guess I just try to find the most fascinating worlds to explore that in, I guess. So sometimes they're true stories, or sometimes, in this case, they're not. But in Foe's case, what an incredibly exciting way to explore a relationship, as opposed to just a normal relationship. And I guess that's what's exciting to me. So I don't know, stuff that challenges me, world building, and human condition, I guess, are the three things.
Okay, fair enough. No, that sounds good. And I'm also now intrigued to ask you, are you working on another project at the moment?
Look, there's a few things in development I can't talk about yet. I'm sorry, but soon to be revealed. Yes.
I fully understand that. Look, congratulations, Garth. We've been speaking to Garth Davis, who's the writer and co-writer and director of Foe, releasing in cinemas October 19th. Garth, thanks so much for talking with me.
Hey, Pete, you might have checked the dates. I think it's November 2nd in Australia.
Oh, it's been pushed back.
I think it's November 2nd. Sue, is that correct?
Ah, right.
Yep.
Yeah, November 2nd. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me. Good. November 2nd is the release date now of Foe. And I'll make sure my audiences know all about that. Thank you so much, Garth, for talking with me.
Thank you, Peter. Really appreciate it, mate. Nice to meet you. Bye-bye.
Okay. All the best. Bye-bye.